Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. So you've just moved to Spain, brought your car from outside the EU, and now you're staring down a mountain of paperwork. You're probably feeling a little stressed, right? Well, take a deep breath, because today we are mapping out the exact step-by-step roadmap to successfully clear customs for your non-EU car. We're going to make this completely painless.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, the customs goal. Second, the two paths. Third, required documents. Fourth, filing your DUA form. And finally, the H1 certificate outcome. I promise you, having this roadmap makes the whole Spanish bureaucracy thing an absolute breeze. Let's get to it. Step 1. The customs goal. Understanding the basics. Because before we do anything else, we really need to understand what we're actually trying to achieve at the border. To kick things off, we need to learn two super important Spanish acronyms. First up is the DUA. That stands for Documento Único Administrativo. Basically, this is the mandatory customs form for your car. You have to submit this DUA to the AEAT, which is the Spanish tax agency. So lock those letters in your memory. The DUA is your starting point, and it goes straight to the AEAT to let them know your car has officially arrived.
Moving right along to step 2, the two paths, standard versus exemption. Because now that we know what form to file, we have to talk about how much it's going to cost.
And depending on your situation, there are two wildly different paths here. On the standard path, you're looking at paying a 21% VAT, plus a tariff import duty of around 10%. To put that into perspective, for an average car worth, say, 8 to 15,000 euros, those standard taxes can easily add up to anywhere from 2,500 to 4,600 euros. Ouch. But there is another way, the transfer of residence exemption. If you qualify for this, you pay exactly 0 euros for VAT and 0 euros for the tariff duty. That's a massive difference, right? Going from thousands of euros down to literally 0. So the obvious question is, how do you get this zero tax path? Well, to claim the exemption, you have to use a very specific code on your DUA form, and that code is 40.00101. But, and this is a big but, you must strictly meet 5 specific conditions laid out in EU Regulation 1186/2009. If you've moved your primary residence to Spain and you check every single one of those 5 boxes, you can use that code and save yourself a ton of money.
Okay, on to step 3, required documents. Time to gather your paperwork. This is absolutely the most crucial part of your preparation. Let's run through this checklist together, because you need these exact documents to move forward. First, your original circulation permit, which they call the Permiso de Circulación here in Spain. Next, your invoice or sales contract, your factura or contrato. Third, proof of your car's entry into the EU. This could be a ferry ticket or your green card, known as the Carta Verde. Fourth, your personal ID, so your TIE or DNI. And lastly, your COC, the Certificate of Conformity, if you happen to have one. Get all of this together before you do literally anything else. All right, step 4, filing your DUA form. We've got our paperwork, so now it's time to actually submit it. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is a very simple question. Who can actually file the DUA? Like, who is legally allowed to hand these documents over to the Spanish government? Well, the whole process is telematic, meaning it's all done online using a digital ID system called CLAV. And because it's online, yes, you can legally file it yourself individually. But I highly, highly recommend that you hire a customs broker. In Spain, they're called an agente de aduanas. Sure, you can technically do it alone, but using an agente de aduanas is just a really smart way to avoid costly mistakes, make sure those tricky codes are correct, and honestly, just save yourself a massive headache.
And that brings us to step 5, the H1 certificate outcome, the ultimate goal. Let's talk about the final destination of this whole customs journey. Here is the absolute crux of the matter, the H1 certificate. The H1 is your official proof of legal customs clearance, and I really want to emphasize this. Without this H1 document, your car is basically stuck. You absolutely cannot move forward. You literally need the H1 to go to the ITV for your technical inspection, you need it for the IEDMT registration tax, and you need it at the DGT traffic office to get your Spanish license plates. The H1 is your golden ticket.
And you know, this perfectly highlights why all that preparation we just talked about is so vital. Because if you followed the checklist and all your documents are perfectly in order, the AEAT actually processes this surprisingly fast. We're talking same-day fast or within 24 to 48 hours. When you do it right the first time, it's incredibly quick.
Just a quick final note. This is informational only, not legal advice. Always check the official source and consult a customs broker for your specific case. Thank you so much for joining us. Navigating Spanish customs can seem a bit intimidating at first, but with the right paperwork, you're well on your way. So, what do you say? Are you ready to conquer the bureaucracy and finally get your car out onto those beautiful Spanish roads? Best of luck out there.
That was a quick overview. On our website you'll find step-by-step guides to many procedures: the Padrón, the health card, the NIE, the TIE, legalization, and more. The link is in the description. And if you get stuck, message our Telegram bot. We'll walk you through for free, step by step.